Hi, everyone, and welcome to another blog chat. It's been a couple of weeks. We haven't had a show air live. Here we are today. And today is going to be another special episode. And the main reason for it is because we are going to talk about the the actual things, actionable things that people can do in order to engage with tokenized real estate. So, my team asked me to talk about things like, in simple terms, how does tokenized real estate work? What are the steps that are needed for somebody to buy their first property tokens on Oceanpoint or any other marketplace in our ecosystem? What do you actually need before you can get started? Do you need to do certain steps because of regulation requirements? And we're gonna, cover those as well. Um, Another important factor to look into it is how is everything structured. What are the phases of a tokenized assets life cycle? What happens before I buy? What do I need to do when I buy real estate tokens? What is required from me in order to benefit from my purchase? And in the end, is there an exit? What happens at the end of the life cycle? Um, so those key important areas are going to be covered in today's show, and I think the best thing is to just get started with. So first things first. How does tokenized real estate work in simple terms? Well, if we really want to simplify this, um, what's happening is a real estate asset, it's a big asset. And this big asset, whatever its value, um, can be owned by one or many people, right? But there's limitations traditionally because it's hard to access. You need to know the area you're investing in and all those things. So with tokenization, what you are able to achieve is access, receive access to that specific asset, to that specific real estate property through the means of purchasing a token. And a token is a digital fraction that represents a, a portion of the underlying or connected real estate property. So let's say in Blocksquare's kind of ecosystem, if you purchase 1,000 Blocksquare property tokens of a said property, then you own 1% of its economic value. Now, that means that it's easy for anyone who has an internet connection to browse through different uh, tokenized properties in different marketplaces and kind of cherry pick how much exposure to an individual property they want to get through the purchase of tokens. You can buy 1,000 tokens here, you can buy 10 tokens there. And what you can do is you can create this portfolio that kind of distributes your risk across different assets, across this different providers, operators, and as well different types of properties. Obviously, everything being so novel in the market, there's not much supply yet that one can choose from. But the supply that there is provides enough information for anyone to start engaging with this new type of with this new market and this new type of asset class. Now, the next thing I'd like to talk about is, in simple terms, if you're somebody who's in Web3, I'm not going to do the, hey, Web3 is a totally new thing for you. So I will suppose that whoever's watching this is already familiar with self-custody wallets like MetaMask or Base wallet or other wallets that are available on the market. that the other part I'm gonna take for granted is that you have already interacted with a Web3 product. So you have connected your wallet already to a different platform, perhaps, and made interactions with it. So signed transactions. Let's say a very common decentralized application is Uniswap, where people can swap tokens for other tokens, right? And to do that, you need to connect a wallet, you need to have some funds on that wallet, and then you can swap a part of those funds for other tokens. For example, you might want to you have purchased Ethereum, but ETH, but you want to switch to USDC, which is a stable coin, and you can do that easily through Uniswap. Now, these are the prerequisites to be able to utilize Oceanpoint as a marketplace. And here is where essentially um, it's sometimes tricky for people who are not familiar with doing that. They stop because they stop by oh, I need to create a wallet, I need to know how to securely store the um, the mnemonic phrase, secure my private key, and these are steps that oftentimes discourage people to go further. So today's episode is to those who either are willing to go through those initial steps of setting up a wallet and acquiring their first crypto, or those who have done it in the past already and are familiar with these steps. Now, let me open up my browser. So this, for instance, is a marketplace um, in our ecosystem, and it's called Oceanpoint. And on Oceanpoint, you will see that there's many properties that have been tokenized for something we call staking, which is an earn to or learn to earn program for property owners that was very popular in the past couple of years and brought us to the attention of many real estate owners who have had limited experience in crypto or had some, but definitely no experience in real estate tokenization. Here on this login screen, you can either create an account. I already created one for the purpose of this demo, and you can sign up, right? The sign up process is as easy as any sign up process on any other platform. So once you sign in, you basically come to this view, which is kind of an initial view of what opportunities are highlighted, how many properties are on the marketplace listed, what's the average APY, how many, what's the value of the properties listed on this marketplace. And here on the right, you have this My Wallet section, portfolio, which is empty at this point. There's a referral program that you can leverage as well. And you can also take a tour of what's going on. And why I'm highlighting this is because one of the prerequisites for somebody to purchase tokenized real estate or real estate tokens is to go through a process of verification, right? We mentioned creating an account, which is the first thing. The second thing is you need to have a wallet, and you need to go through KYC. The reason you need to go through KYC is because of AML regulation. So AML means anti-money laundering, and this is a regulation that we can't avoid in Europe. And basically, what we need to do is show us our identity, do a check, a visual check, and this is all integrated. So it's a fairly easy step. It takes just a couple of minutes, and you're done, right? And then after that, there's a verification process in the back that happens and a whitelisting process. And after you get whitelisted, you suddenly have access to all of these assets listed on this marketplace. And you can start purchasing and creating your own portfolio through it. Now, here on this account, I have already completed the process. So I will not bother you or bore you with the KYC process. Um, but I have already basically done it before going live here with you guys. And what I have also done is I have connected as well and registered my wallet. So the choice of wallets is quite diverse, and most of these options are something that the people who are in Web3 already know and are comfortable with. I'm going to be using MetaMask in this demo because it's the wallet that is most common across the Ethereum ecosystem. Now here, I'm going to connect the wallet to um, the app. So I connect this wallet here, and now I'm ready to engage with what is available. But before I engage and dive into purchasing a real estate token, I need to understand what I'm getting into, right? So the marketplace has been built in a way to address this, uh, and people can really kind of start researching each real estate assets individually. Currently, I see there's three opportunities that are available for me to purchase. So let me start with let's say this one here. It's a single parking space in Tech Park in Ljubljana. The history, I know the history of this tokenization because it was the first tokenization that we have ever done, and this tokenization was done back in 2019, if I'm correct, or maybe even 2018, to be honest. Now, this is Tech Park in Ljubljana. It's where the offices are of our tech partner Medias are as well. And here it's there's a garage underneath, and we bought at the time one single parking spot and leased it out, and it has been renting uh, ever since. It's a small rent, it's a small proof of concept, but it has become somewhat of a collectible, if you will. Now, the valuation of this asset is currently at something below 20,000 euros. I remember when we purchased it, it was around 16,000 euros. So the asset value appreciated over time since then. Um, there's a couple of open opportunities as well. People seem to be selling some of the tokens here. And the cheapest offer is at zero point 0.2 DAI, which is $0.2, which is 0.18 euros, which means that if I purchased it at this amount, I'm expected, based on historic performance, to yield 6% per annum. And I'm purchasing the asset at an 11.3% discount to NAV. NAV, for those who don't know, is net asset value. And obviously, if others are selling at higher price per token, the yield that I would get for purchasing that tranche would be lower because my entry point would be higher, right? At the same time, my premium or discount would become lower as well. And so here we have some offers that are offered at a discount, and some offers that are available at a premium. Now, if I wanted to purchase some of these tokens, sorry, if I wanted to purchase some of these tokens, I would be able to do so using the stablecoin DAI in this right side corner. I can click max, I can click, I don't know, 50, and it would calculate how many tokens I would be able to purchase if I would make that. I can click on buy, and it opens up a model with more information, right? And the more I put, the it recalculates all the values. But here I've put a value that I don't own. I don't hold on the wallet, so it marks insufficient balance, and it also an amount that is not available even on the secondary market. If I would to purchase the whole lot on the secondary market, this would mean 7,720 tokens, which would cost me about $1,773. However, I don't have that amount on this wallet. I think here the maximum I have is just below $1,000 worth of stable coins, and I could make a purchase for this amount. But let's go back on discovering an asset. Before you ape into buying real estate tokens, you need to understand what is behind it. So there is a gallery with some information additional on the asset. So some photos representing or giving us a better understanding of what this is. There's a section where the offerer, the owner, the property owner has highlighted some information on this property. So this is something you can use as a reference point when doing research. Then there's the documents section, and here you're going to see there's a couple of legal documents. There's even a report here that was uploaded back in 2025, and there's some other docs. So let's check out what these documents really what they are. So let me check this PDF. And this PDF is essentially, it's written in Slovene, I know, but today with AI, I think it's really easy to understand what some document like this is and have it translated via AI. But this is essentially an excerpt from the land registry. It's dated back to May 2023, and it basically states that the owner of this property is this company here. And here it states the cadastral um, municipality, the ID of the building, and obviously in each country the land registration system will be a bit different, right? Now, the the next one is it's a document that basically is saying more about the company that owns the real estate asset. And in this case, the company that owns this real estate asset, it's actually me. And I own the company, 100% of this company. And this is essentially the company I do real estate deals with, the real estate deals through. Um, then another company or another report here. Let's look at this one. Okay, so this is a report on the general valuation of the building or of the property. This is something that's dated back to summer 2025. Um, and the valuations were done on the first of I think on the first the models. The valuation models are dated back to January 2025. Now it says all the information about the asset, and it basically gives you the size, the overview, and all of that data, plus this valuation here, which you can use as a reference point. I think it's very important when you buy tokenized real estate to see what the assessed valuation is based on. If it's government data, is it a private report, is it a certified valuers report? How was the value of the asset reported? And obviously this is like checkpoints in time, so you might use other tools that will help out understand what the actual market value is at a specific point in time for a specific real estate asset. And then last but not least, it's a document here. It's the corporate resolution. Those who have followed Blocksquare in the past know that what we're doing is we're tokenizing the economic rights that derive from the ownership of a real estate asset. And we transfer those rights using a corporate resolution. Now here also in the first line, you see corporate resolution available, which means that a document has been linked to the token contract and hashed on IPFS. So in this document, you see that the company and its signatories, so me in this case, Denis, have on the 15th May 2023, that we have passed the following resolution. Why has this resolution changed? And it's not from 2019, is because in 2019 we had a demo system that outputted just one single token, and we had created a platform just for the tokenization of this single asset. And then in 2023, we deployed the first full version of so the B1 of our tokenization system, and have migrated at that time migrated this asset to this new system, and hence a new corporate resolution had to be signed, because the assets the token contract changed as well with it. Now, but materially, we have not changed any of the provisions of the corporate resolution, so all the legal implications stays the same. Now here it states what the public address of the token, what's the purpose of the parking space, what is the address of the asset, what is the possible total emission of digital tokens. It's always 100,000 with our standard, even though not all tokens might be minted into circulation, and we'll look into it a bit later on. What's the revenue share for a single token, which is always 1 to 100,000. And then you have these two values, which are actually quite important. One is the percentage of revenues. So as you might understand, the property has a lease agreement. And this lease agreement is essentially, this lease agreement is, um, this lease agreement is has a maybe a fixed term. Let's say it's 100 per month, right? But running the property might have certain costs that are not covered in by the tenant, but by the owner. And in this case, when we have a percentage of revenues, the owner what percentage of all the yearly revenues will go to token holders based on how many tokens have been issued. So let's say that 100,000 tokens have been issued. Let's say that $1,000 worth of or euros worth of revenues has been generated. It means 85% means that 850 euros will be distributed or should be distributed to token holders. Why only 85%? Because 15% are some additional costs that need to be covered most probably by the property owner. The second part is the buyback threshold. And this buyback threshold is something that gives power to you as a token holder when it comes to buying back the tokens, when the owner wants to buy back all the tokens from the market. This means that they need to negotiate with all the token holders if they want to buy back at the specific price, if the token holders agree on that price. It means that at least 50% of all holders of tokens for this property need to say yes to the buyback offer. Now we've digged a bit into the details on the legal documents, but what I actually wanted to show you is as well the other parts of the property page. You can see the location, and then most importantly, or very interestingly, you also see a trade chart. And this trade chart gives you a price, a NAV, premium, discount, and volumes, right? For a specific period of time. And you also see all the transactional history. So you see all transactions that have been executed for this property at a specific point in time. It also shows you what the composition of the capital stack is. Here, the whole asset has been tokenized and how many holders there are. Currently, for this property, there's 24 holders, and this is the distribution amongst them. And here you see there's also a gray area, which shows that some people are staking uh, the property on the Oceanpoint D app. But let's leave that on the side. Now, revenue distributions that have been done in the past. So every time there's a revenue distribution, it goes into this chart. And last but not least, details on the property owner. Now, one of the things that I have been asked to show you today, of course, is how to buy property on Oceanpoint, and that's what we're gonna do right now. We're gonna buy a small fraction of this single parking space, and then afterwards, what we're gonna do as well is we're gonna look other properties and see if there's any available there to build out a small portfolio worth $1,000 um, out of in a couple of minutes. So let's go here. Let's say we want to buy 250 or $150 of this property here. Why $150? Because I don't want to buy more. I have then another 850 to distribute to those other properties perhaps. So let me check here. It means that if I, yes, this 11% discount, I'm going to be able to get, if I buy 200, I get the whole lot here. So maybe 11% discount. Well, it seems like a good deal, but still, let me just go with 150. I need to approve. The first time I'm buying, I need to go through the approval process. It takes just a couple of minutes. And then I'm going to be jumping on the other properties as well. Let's wait until this transaction gets confirmed. All right, it has been confirmed. And now I can go ahead and make the purchase. All right. So, yes, it's confirmed. Congratulations. I have purchased 735.29 BSBT OCN 0 tokens right now. And I can check this transaction as well on Etherscan. Here is the full transaction. I paid 150. I received this amount. And there's been a fee that has been distributed to the property owner, to the marketplace, as well as Oceanpoint or Blocksquare's DAO. So going back to the marketplace, let us check how our portfolio looks like. All right, perfect. The property now shows in our portfolio. I can see here my holdings, the property APY, and when revenues are getting distributed, I will most probably see it here. What I can also do from here, I can say that I want to stake, and by the staking, I basically earn crypto instead of regular stablecoin returns. Now going back to the marketplace, here's some listed properties, some properties that are coming soon. Trading, I have those options. So let me go for the 8.5% APY. It seems like a good deal. It has the corporate resolution. This is the valuation of the property. This is the APY. There's some tokens available, as it seems. So some open orders here. I've already done a bit of research on this property, of course. Um, and here's the legal documents, etc. I can check. I can see that there's much more volume happening here, much more trading activity on this asset for in the past year. Um, it has been trading for a bit of time at a discount, but it had been as well on a premium. Look at here. There's been even a 30% premium here. And here it has been trading around net asset value, plus minus 10% perhaps. There's a trade history. Recent trade was on the 18th of March. So fairly good activity still. It's not crypto, where larger volumes happen every day. But it is there are volumes that happen and there's trades that happen, which is important, I think. This one has a different capital stack. It has a distribution between tokenization between debt and equity. So 45% is considered equity right now. There's a debt portion that's 25%, and the rest has been tokenized. This is the distributions of token holders here, and these are the revenue distributions for last year. Um, this is the company that owns the real estate property. All right, so I said I'm going to distribute $1,000. I spent a certain amount. Let me buy what? Let's do. I did $150 on the parking space. I have another 850 left. Let's do 500 of this property. Let's see what the offers are. There's a small discount here on this one. So if I buy 500 worth of it, maybe I buy 55 tokens, why not? And I will get them at this discount, which means the yield is going to be a bit adjusted, which is a good deal, I think. So let's go ahead and purchase this property. While we wait for the confirmation, a topic that I was asked to talk about as well is how ownership, revenue, and buybacks are structured. Like we said, ownership is always needs to be in ownership of a company. So it can't be owned. The real estate currently can't be owned by any individual, but it always needs to be like a limited liability company or similar SPV to own the title of the property. So the ownership doesn't change with tokenization. The other part, um, what happens with revenues? So revenue gets distributed in the form of stablecoins to token holders in proportion to how many tokens you hold. There's no cutoff dates. There's an algorithm that basically appropriates in the back um, when and how much each token holder held tokens for, and retroactively when the revenues are being distributed, they go in the hands or in the wallets of token holders. Now, then another thing is at the end of the tokenization, when the property owner makes the decision to detokenize for some reason or another, there's a buyback. And in that buyback, as we said, there's a negotiation element, but essentially what it allows token holders is to um, have an active say at the at what price the tokens will be sold back to the property owner. So I see that the purchase has been confirmed. In the meantime, I can check on Etherscan again this transaction. Here we see the whole details, and I can close this one. Let's go back to our portfolio. Nice. So now we have a portfolio that's almost 600 euros worth of it. There are two properties. There's no unclaimed revenue right now because obviously there has been no distributions that thus far. But let's go back and let's look at this property as well. So then we will be able to say, hey, we have a portfolio of three properties now. Now, this is the current availability. There's the corporate resolution. There's some open sell orders. There's a nice minus 6% discount on this one. I actually like it. Let's see what's the maximum amount we can spend on this. It's 340 DAI. That's what's left. So we can go ahead. We could do 45 tokens and leave some DAI aside, but doesn't doesn't make sense. So let's go with the full amount I have. And we go ahead and we make the purchase of the third property. So now you've seen how easy it is to essentially get exposure to different properties online through tokenization. And what you have seen right now is essentially how people are going to be able to, or how people are already able to buy cross border properties, stakes in properties all across the world. I can be in the comfort of my home in Europe and I can purchase properties in Asia, or I can be in Asia and purchase properties in Europe. Um, Obviously, it takes a bit of research, and anyone who wants to engage in building out portfolios of tokenized real estate should definitely do their own research. The interesting part, I think, is that this market is so new that those who will master the due diligence process and be able to share their findings with others will be able to attract a lot of investors who will and users who will rely on their expertise um, for their own due diligence. And thankfully, we have built in an affiliate system into the marketplace. So people that have this idea in mind um, can leverage and can benefit from the user base they bring towards Oceanpoint as a marketplace. That's it for today. We have purchased 3 properties in our portfolio of this new account that we have. Now we have a portfolio value of 896 euros. Don't forget, euros and dollars are obviously different things. What we can do here is we can even change the currency to US dollars. Let's just save this and we will see everything in US dollars. Why not? Um, so we've done this in a couple of minutes um, during the time I was explaining and talking with you. I hope it was a good educational episode for everyone who joined us today. Um, and I wish you good luck in everything you do in life and the investments you make and in the research you make. Um, it was a pleasure being with all of you once more or again after a couple of weeks. And I guess see you around and see you in the next blog chat. So have a good rest of the day.